I just wanted to say, like, can we stop making excuses for LeBron? Because he created this league that he got now. If he would have never went to Miami and stayed in Cleveland and waited his turn like Michael Jordan did in Chicago, KD would have never been at the Warriors to beat him. So now,
Darryl, it's a great point. However, let me just tell you what would have happened if he stayed in Cleveland. They never would have gotten him anyway, and he's too good. So they would. The reason Cleveland got good is because they got first pick, the number one overall pick after number one overall pick. They could draft, what's his name, Bennett, and biggest bust ever at number one, right? And it didn't matter to them. They got Kyrie, and then they got Wiggins, and they traded for Love. That's all because LeBron wasn't there. But when he was there, they were a powerhouse. So he was good enough that Gilbert was making money, and there was no urgency. And also figuring, oh, he's from here, he's not going anywhere. There was no urgency to put a team around him. He got to the finals with one of the worst supporting casts in the history of the NBA. So if he would have stayed in Cleveland, your answer is like, well, if he created this league, they never would have gotten him the pieces, ever. So I hear what you're saying. He did. He went to Miami, formed a super team. KD saw him and raised him. He upped the ante. Yeah, you created a super team. I'm going to join the 73-win team. You're right about that. But I'm not making excuses for LeBron. No excuses. He's got to win his first-round matchup. I just don't think he was going to win the title this year. I think he's past his prime, though not far past his prime. And, or rather, even if he is far past his prime, he's so great that he's still better than almost everyone. But I don't think he's as good as Kawhi right now. And especially from the free throw line late in games in the playoffs. And I think that shows up in the results. And I don't think that, and like, he formed the team as usual in his location, his preferred location. He formed the team in Miami. Then he went back to Cleveland and formed the team. Now he's going to LA, formed the team. Whereas Kawhi parachuted onto a fully formed team and brought Paul George with him. It's not an excuse. I like Kawhi and the Clippers to win this year from the beginning. No excuse for LeBron. I think Kawhi is right now the best player in the world, including LeBron. I think he's about to prove it. But I don't think it's like do or die this season for LeBron. As I said, when you get an Anthony Davis, you've got to give up every single asset you have. What about Kyle Kuzma? He wasn't an asset. If he was an asset, he'd have been in the trade. Gobert's the rim and catches it, reverse jam. Yeah. Kicks the Ingles right corner three. That's Happy Valley. Basketball. Gobert just power surge and back. This is Utah Jazz basketball. Are you kidding me, Donovan Mitchell? Are you kidding me? On the Jazz Radio Network. Pick and roll. Conley lobs it high. Gobert slam dunk. Cross court. Conley open three. Good. Utah Jazz basketball is brought to you in part by Larry H. Miller Lexus in Murray. And Lexus of Linden by Zions Bank. For a noteworthy approach to banking, Zions Bank is for you. And by your Utah Toyota dealer. Three ball. Donovan Mitchell. Now, live from Vivint Smart Home Arena in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. Here's the voice of the Utah Jazz, David Locke, with the legend Ron Boone on the Utah Jazz Radio Network. Hello. How are you? You ready for a Jazz win today to get back at it? See if we can tie this series at one game apiece. Hi, I'm David Locke. Ron Boone will be with us in just a moment. He is currently wrapping up his TV duties. Game one was one for the ages. Superhuman performances by Donovan Mitchell, matched by Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets, and the two teams that have played so many close games now this year. All four of them have now gone. The Nuggets and the Jazz and the Nuggets have played 4 games. In the 16 quarters of regulation, the Nuggets have outscored the Jazz by 9 points. And that's it. And then we've gone to overtime. 3 periods of overtime, in fact, in the 4 meetings. That's how close this series is as the Jazz take the floor in Orlando right now. The Jazz looking to try to even this series and then hopefully get Mike Conley back by Friday, depending on whether his tests get done in time for the game. There is some injury news from the Denver standpoint. Will Barton has left the bubble. So Will Barton, who is Denver's third leading scorer, second leading rebounder, and third leading
leading assist guy, that is not a small piece to their puzzle, will not play in this series as he gets his knee reevaluated. So little news on each end. Jazz getting some positive news that Mike Conley is re-entered the bubble. He's in his 4-day quarantine, and if his tests come out, he'll be available for Game 3. Not so good news for Denver. From the Jazz and the Nuggets standpoint, it's going to be adjustments. The Nuggets cannot allow Donovan Mitchell to just go off for 57 points and get switched onto any guy they want. And the Jazz have got to find a way to stop the most active two-man game in the NBA in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. We set up the broadcast that that's what this thing was going to be about when we talked to you on Monday, and that's where we are now. Is it's still about that, but now it's about the adjustments that each team's going to make to be able to make the changes to take those things away. Jazz and the Nuggets, game number 2 of the series. That's what's on tap. Brought to you by Miller Craft, the original reinvented light beer. Quinn Snyder Coaches Show is next on the Jazz Radio Network.
Hey Jazz fans, stop by the Utah Jazz team store located inside Door 5 at Vivint Smart Home Arena. Grab your exclusive Purple Mountain, City Edition, and Icon Jazz gear at the Jazz Team Store, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on event days. Follow the Jazz Team Store on Twitter and Instagram at Jazz Team Store for giveaways, special releases, and stock updates. You can also visit online at jazzteamstore.com for the best selection of Utah Jazz gear. And go Jazz!
In Utah, there's a sense of we're all in this together. It's the philosophy of caring for others. From helping a stranger with their flat tire to welcoming a new family to the neighborhood. At University of Utah Health, we take care of Utah like Utahns take care of each other. Maybe that's why University of Utah Health is the most trusted healthcare in the state. There's only one you. Be treated that way. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. Thanks to U.S. Bank, your banking's done in a few clicks. You have time to get more done. Like, wake up, stretch, go to meetings, go to the gym, convince yourself you like the gym.
It's fun. I really like it.
A U.S. Bank checking account with online and mobile access allows banking to fit your life. Call 800-720-BANK. Visit a branch or go to usbank.com/checking. U.S. Bank, the power of possible. See a banker or visit usbank.com/checking for more information. The U.S. Bank mobile app is free to download. Your mobile carrier may charge access and messaging fees. Deposit products offered by U.S. Bank National Association, member FDIC.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's go downstairs and inside the coach's office.
My mind is on our team.
Right before tip-off, here's David Locke with head coach Quinn Snyder. It's the Quinn Snyder Coaching Show. Ready?
Time now for the Quinn Snyder Coaches Show. Coach, looking back at Game 1, as you saw it in person, as you reviewed it on film, what was most remarkable to you about Donovan?
I think the variety with which he not only scored but played, and then he hit pull-up threes off the dribble. He got to the rim. He made some mid-range shots, and he also got to the foul line. And he did that, all the while, mixing in 6-7 assists where he's dropping the ball to other people. So it was truly one of the great performances that I've ever been a part of.
If Denver makes a concerted effort to get the ball out of his hands by bringing a second guy to him or blitzing him a little bit, what's the right thing for him to do today?
Well, we would anticipate that happening. I think particularly in pick and roll situations. But even if they were just to come hit him and trap him or something, the attempts to cross half court, try to make other guys make plays. I think he's going to make the right decision. Sometimes that could mean attacking the trap. The majority of the time, he's probably going to get off it, let someone else make a play. But we need to lay things out in a way where our spacing is such that he has good options available to him, and it's also it's difficult to do that in the flow of the game in transition if we can get some stops.
On the defensive side of things, what can you do to make Murray and Jokic a bit uncomfortable?
Well, that's the key, and I think you watch the film and some of the shots that they made, I thought our defense was really good. There were other times where, we could be better, but there weren't like terrible breakdowns. That said, when you see two players of their caliber, you have to adjust to make them uncomfortable, as you said, to create a little uncertainty. So whether that means switching or in some situations trying to trap Jokic or trap Murray for that matter,
those are things that we need to do. We did it a couple times the other night when we had the opportunity, but really we need to create more opportunities for ourselves to do that. And then frankly the challenge becomes those other guys in the glass, because they basically got 3 guys in the baseline and they all know their job, and it's to rebound late. Murray and Jokic are going to make plays.
There's been an evolution in pick and roll. I think when we think back of Stockton and Malone, Stockton had the ball kind of stationary. Malone came and set the pick. Stockton rolled off it. Now it's this area 3. Murray's coming pretty full throttle, usually left to right, coming out of pick that's kind of in a spot. How does that make it more difficult to guard this version of the pick and roll?
Well, I think for one thing, it forces you to pick the ball up higher on the floor. That was one of the things that we talked about and really didn't execute. You can't allow him to have a rhythm where you're constantly reacting to him, and that's what occurs when they're bringing the ball to the screen, as we call it. It simulates a handoff or a get action when he passes the ball to Jokic. So it's difficult to keep him pinned on the sidelines, because if you do that, he'll just pass it and back cut. And then if you're square on him and head up, he's probably at that point going to use the screen. So the variety with which they can get into that 2-man game, and the hard part is you have a big, in this case a center, that's on the top of the floor shooting threes, and the pick and roll you described was in the deep corner, and the 3-point shot was not a part of it, nor did the big handle the ball. And in this case, either of those guys are capable of handling the ball, and both of them are capable of making threes.
Interesting. Final one. You decided to start Juwan Morgan. What did you know about him that he'd be able to handle that moment? How impressed were you?
Well, sometimes we see a player throughout the course of the year more than fans do, because they're playing in practice and they're working. And we've had a lot of confidence in Juwan as the season's progressed, even though maybe we haven't gotten into as many games. So this is the situation we're in, and the playoffs require matchup decisions. And as I said, in this case, we have a lot of confidence in Juwan, and it made sense on a number of levels, because we really feel like JC coming off the bench could give some pop, and George as well with his shooting, with certain lineups that I think play well together.
Coach, thank you very much. Best of luck in Game 2.
Thanks, Walker.
That's the Quinn Snyder Coaches Show for authentic Utah Jazz players gear, including jerseys, shorts, warm-ups, and more. Visit fanaticsAuthentic.com/UtahJazzGU. That's fanaticsAuthentic.com/UtahJazzGU. Starting lineups next on the Jazz Radio Network.